Hello, everyone, and welcome to Living Proof Radio. Today, I have a very special friend and somebody I've gotten to know quite well over the last couple of years, Elaine Glass. Elaine, thanks for joining us today.
So good to be here, Sachin.
Well, we've already started our conversation before I hit the record button, and it's always enlightening to speak with you and share space with you. And, just to learn from your wisdom as well. You've got so much knowledge to offer and so much experience to offer. I enjoy our conversations, and I'm glad we're having this dialogue today because we're going to help people really unlock how they can live a better, healthier, more abundant life. And we're both going to be sharing from our experiences. You and I had a conversation a couple of weeks ago, and you were sharing some really profound insights with me. And I said, you know what? The world needs to hear this. More people need to learn what their own inner capabilities are and start unlocking some of these gifts. And what was really profound for me was that I know there's probably a lot of confounding factors, but what you said was that there was one sentence that you heard at a talk that I gave, I guess earlier, well, last year now, and that really clicked a lot of things together for you. So let's get into that. But before we do, I'd love for people who are listening, tuning in, to learn a little bit more about you. So tell us, who is Elaine Glass?
Oh, well, I am a mother of two wonderful grown sons. I live in the beautiful state of Arizona, so a lot of outdoors, nature, good stuff. And I've been in healthcare. I was in healthcare for over 25 years in the dental field, and realized I was really helping a lot of people with their lives. And so I decided to drop the instruments and really just focus on people and become a life coach. So I'm a master certified life coach, business coach, and a seeker.
All right. And you've got this beautiful energy about you. You've got this beautiful glow. For those of you that are watching the video version of this, you can see Elaine's got this amazing glow to her. She just came back from acupuncture. So she's got the quote unquote acupuncture glow. And what I will say is that you are just a shining example of self love, a shining example of what it means to be a great partner, to be a great mom. And I know that being healthy was part of your bigger vision and a vision for yourself moving forward, because one of the things that, as being a great mom, is we sometimes don't take the best care of ourselves, or we know what we need to do, but we put others first. And then as a result of that, we don't always get around to ourselves. And in 2019, and I'm sure even leading up to that, you've had some pretty big breakthroughs. But from what I can understand, 2019 was a really big breakthrough year for you. So tell us a little bit more about, what really clicked for you, so that those listening in can kind of get a sense of the importance of what you have to say, and the impact just one sentence or one moment can have on your life.
Well, I look back on November 21st of 2019 as really my second birthday. It was that profound. I woke up and I heard super clear, don't take your medicine. I've been on thyroid medicine for over 15 years. And it was really clear, don't take your medicine. I thought, well, that's kind of crazy, because anyone who has thyroid disease knows you have to take your medicine, or anyone with any problem that, medicine addresses. You take it and you don't question it. But I heard, don't take your medicine. And it changed everything, because I felt really good that day. I didn't feel tired. I didn't feel fatigued or run down. I felt really clear-minded. And I thought, what is this? What's going on? So the next thing I did was I looked up the ingredients in that medicine. And to my surprise, Sachin, there were so many inactive ingredients that I did not know about. There were a slew of them, all the way from talcs to dyes to words I couldn't even pronounce. And I thought, there's something here that I'm being reactive toward. I'm allergic to. And I had uncovered every rock. I mean, I thought, what is it? What more can I do to feel better? I didn't know. A whole decade of not knowing what was wrong. Why couldn't I just get the energy to keep going some days. I just didn't have it, didn't know why. Um, and this was the answer. I looked up every ingredient. I realized why it was causing me so much trouble. And I went straight to my compounding pharmacist and said, just give me the straight active ingredient of my thyroid medicine, no other fillers or dyes or anything. She said, sure, I can do that. And within 24 hours, I had a new life. So November 21st was really my second birthday, to feeling the best I've ever felt.
That's awesome. What do you think led to that moment where you had that download not to listen and, I mean, sorry, not to take the medication, because that's pretty profound, actually, right? Getting that download, hearing it loud and clear. It wasn't a whisper. It sounded like it was very loud and clear as a bell, so to speak. What do you think allowed you to hear that message and then act on it? Because sometimes people are listening to this, there's probably downloads that people are getting, but they're not acting on them. So was it hearing the message, or was it something else that really resonated or clicked for you that said, I really have to act on this?
Well, your first question was, how did I get the download? It really is, this is a full circle moment being here with you, because you are the reason why I heard the download. Because I heard you speak at a conference and you said the sentence that I'll never forget. And that was, whoever controls your central nervous system creates your reality. And so I had looked for the last 10 months, what was controlling my central nervous system? What was I doing every day that was allowing me to function at a high level or not function at a high level? And those were the rocks that I kept uncovering, questioning my lifestyle, questioning watching the news. That was affecting my central nervous system. Being on social media, that was affecting my central nervous system. Now, maybe I'm more sensitive than the next person. I don't know, but this is what I had to do for myself. And so hearing those words from you began a series of questioning about how I was living my life and what was making me feel in a calm state or making me feel in a fearful, reactive state. So I have you to thank for me really hearing that message clearly, because my body at that point had gotten into a really fine-tuned machine because of you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I want to honor you because there were 90 other people in that room, right? And you were tuned in. The antenna was dialed into the message and you were ready to receive the message. And, sometimes when we hear something, it hits us like a ton of bricks. And as a speaker, I really want to thank you as well, because sometimes as a speaker, we never know what message really lands with people. And now I can understand the power of those words and the impact that they had. And I can double down on that message because I believe that in my own, with every, ounce of my being, that, whoever does control your nervous system, does control your physiology, does control your health, does control your actions. And this is a big part that is very overlooked in the healing journey. And one of the things that happens when we start aligning ourselves with our highest self, we start downloading these messages, right? I mean, the messages are already there. It's just a matter, are we aligned? Just like our television, all the channels are there. The question is the TV tuned in to that frequency or that vibration so they could pick up the signal? The satellite dish, if you have a satellite dish on your house, if you just move it a few millimeters, it doesn't pick up the signal anymore. So it's always there. The question is, are we in alignment? So you talked about, Facebook, you talked about social media, and you talked about not watching the news. What else did you feel was kind of pushing you out of alignment in terms of your central nervous system?
It was really getting back in control of my life in many different aspects. My house, cleaning out closets, cleaning out things I no longer needed, cleaning out drawers. That was a step. Looking at my relationships. Were there codependencies going on? Was there anything there that needed to be cleaned up? And it was getting out in nature more. there were so many different steps I took to get this tuning in as clear as it is right now. And there's so much more. And that's what's so exciting too, is that there's so much more. I don't have all the answers now, but I certainly have a great foundation. And it's all about keeping your environment clean. Like after the aha moment of my medicine, well, I went from what was in my medicine to, well, what's in my food? Well, what's in my toothpaste? Well, what's in my cosmetics? You know, what is in my environment that could be making me not feel great, not feel the best I can? And it's just been this uncovering of things that are hidden.
Yeah.
They're frankly, they're hidden from us unless we really start to dig deep to uncover what could be affecting our health.
Yeah, I think a lot of times we assume that, hey, I've been doing this my whole life and it's fine. Or we find a shampoo that we really like, right? Or we find a product that we really like and we use it, not always recognizing the impact that it may have on us in the short term, but also the cumulative effect that it can have. And some of these things, it's the cumulative effect that we have to be a little bit more concerned about. And we always have to ask ourselves a very simple question, and that is what I'm do if is what I'm doing, if I were to do this to a perfectly healthy person, would this make them healthier, or would it move them in the opposite direction? And when we start looking at the chemicals we put on our bodies, the chemicals we have in our homes. I mean, even if you start looking at furniture and you start turning over some of these things, like even buying a new bed, for example, that's an important decision. And some people take that very lightly. They buy the cheapest mattress that they can buy, but not realizing that there's fire retardants and all kinds of things in there that they're inhaling. And these things are bioaccumulating in their body. So I'm so glad that, this one download kind of led to this branching architecture of really finding out what else can I be doing to further optimize. And then as you start peeling this onion back, you start realizing, at first I'm sure the little bit of the emotion is a little bit of frustration, but because it feels like, oh my God, everything has all these chemicals and stuff in it. But
Yeah.
then what I love about that is that it also demonstrates opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Because, hey, like if I feel this good just changing my medication, that's one thing. But imagine I start changing all these other things, the positive impact that's going to have, on my overall health. And, I just love the intuitive faculties that you've tapped into. And I love that you're taking action, because it's easy to feel defeated, and it's easy to kind of stick to the old patterns and the old habits. But once someone like yourself with such a powerful, beautiful mind makes up their mind, there's no holding them back. So it's pretty exciting to see what's going to come of all of this. And I know that because of this transformation that you've gone through and you're continuing to go through, you're really inspired to share this message with as many people as possible. So tell us a little bit more about that. How are you spreading this message? How are you? I'm sure you're telling all your girlfriends and all your guy friends and letting them know. So what do they
Oh,
think of all this?
Sachin, it's every day someone will say, "How you doing?" Just a common greeting. And I'll say, I'll take the opportunity. I'll say, "I am so great. Do you want to know why?" And
I love it.
I'll just let them know what I've discovered. And I have a running list of how many people I've told and the responses. And it's just really interesting when you have good health news to share, because there's a lot of conversation out there about bad health news to share. So I have this good news health to share message. I'm super excited about it. And I'm just, one thing it's interesting, I'm not on social media. People can't find me anywhere because I choose not to be, because of my central nervous system. So I'm out in the world and I'm telling people, I'm going about my day and sharing what I've learned. And it's fascinating. And there's so much good connection going on between, heart to heart connection, which nourishes me. It fills me up to be able to do this with people just one on one. That's how I'm sharing my message right now. Um, and it's about changing your environment. It's about changing the people that you share, your life with. I mean, helping them understand how they could also feel better.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I work out with a trainer, and I have a sort of a self-care team that I've got around me, and I've had that for a while. But my trainer just recently, after I stopped the medication with all the fillers, said to me, Elaine, you have more stamina, you have more facial expressions, you have less fear or, to try something new. You are not as sensitive to the noises in the gym. I mean, this has been, talk about the word fear. When you calm your central nervous system, I liken it to the fact that imagine if you're put into prison, your central nervous system would be in fear mode, and you'd have to operate in this fearful state. And every decision you'd make would be in this fearful state. And that's essentially, on a different level, obviously, how I've been operating. I've been operating in a fearful state. Sounds
Mm-hmm.
have bothered me, planes have bothered me, energy has, I'm sensitive, I've been sensitive to people's energy. I mean, I've just been so sensitive and fearful. And all of that lifted in an instant.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm having to realize, like, who am I? I'm not sensitive anymore. I don't have this ultra, sensitive state that I walk around with anymore. I'm calm. And so, wow, what are my possibilities now? It's super cool.
Yeah.
It's so cool. And the best thing is right now is just sitting and feeling good. Just feeling good and sitting and enjoying the fact that I'm feeling really good. And that feeling alone, to me, is priceless. It's absolutely priceless.
That's awesome. I love that. When we're in a stressed out state, in a sympathetic dominant state, all of our senses become heightened. So that makes sense. If there's a lion around the corner, I want to be able to hear more clearly. I want to be able to see, so my pupils need to be dilated so more light information comes in. I want to be sensitive to touch. So there's a time and place for that, but that's not the way that anyone should be living their life, right? And it creates a lot of um, you know, stress hormones to be coursing through our body the whole time. And depending on how we metabolize stress, emotionally, but also physiologically, our body can stay in this stress dominant state. And when it's in that state, it's not healing the way it's supposed to. And so we see this all the time. We see people, for example, like even the thyroid, for example, the thyroid actually shuts down under stress because it's not the thyroid's job to handle stress. It's the thyroid's job to handle basal metabolic rate. So when we're sitting and we're chilling and we're relaxing, that's when the thyroid is supposed to be the most active. It deactivates in the presence of stress hormones. And so your medication can't even work the way it's supposed to, even if you're on the right medication and it's toxin free, if you're in a stressed out state. So some people will have dysfunctional hormones or dysfunctional endocrine glands as a result of that chronic stress. And the other thing that stress squashes is our creativity, because the creative part of our brain and the part of our brain that responds to situations instead of reacts to situations is the prefrontal cortex. So this is what actually, this part of our brain is what separates us from all the other animals on the planet. And so if we're not activating that part of our brain because we're so stuck in the stressed out state, we can't unlock our best work. So I'm excited to see, I know you've done some great work with your clients, and I'm sure you've made a huge impact on people, but now you're going to really unlock your best work and take all the experiences that you've had, and not only with your health but in your career, and be able to creatively unlock them and express them in so many more beautiful ways. So I'm thrilled to see what's to come, and I always say the best is yet to come, and I can certainly see that coming from you.
Thank you so much. What I feel is coming is this this idea that I have, this vision that I have about the way that humans take care of themselves in a preventive, actionable way. And that is this, excuse me, this life care team, this self-care team, however you want to call it. You taught me to be the CEO of my health. And that was another thing I took very seriously. And I'm not just relying on my doctor. I am listening, being in tuned to who else needs to be on this team of mine. So I have brought in the most incredible team for myself, like the acupuncturist you mentioned that I just got back from seeing. I see him weekly. I see a massage therapist. I've learned that there's a new abdominal massage therapy that's incredible, that has helped me relieve stress that I had around my womb and all the trauma that's happened from having and birthing children. So she was brought onto my team and she's been wonderful. Now, you don't have to have all these people all the time, but to be in tune to your body and what it needs and to act on that and bring these people into your life has been a game changer for me. I have a hypnotherapist. I have people around me like trainers, Pilates, yoga instructors, people that are introducing me to these fantastic modalities that are out there. And this is another thing that I intuitively knew to do, Sachin. When I was feeling really lousy on my medicine for the last decade, I could have easily chased those symptoms and compounded even more medicine.
I can only imagine how many people that's happening to, right? You put them on a
Yes,
medication, and even though that medication might normalize a single lab value, so the doctors and the patient thinks, oh, okay, I've got to keep doing this. It's working. It's moving me in the right direction. But it's a very myopic viewpoint, right? It's like, hey, this number is good, but if I don't feel good and I'm not unlocking my own inner potential, then what is the cost? What is the consequence of that? So many people, I mean, thyroid medication is one of the top 5 prescribed medications in North America. So there's literally millions of people that are on this medication. And, we work with thyroid clients and we know how some of them struggle. And sometimes our first inclination, even as a functional medicine practitioner, may not always be to change up somebody's medication because their lab values are normal. So let's not ruffle any feathers. But if there's a toxin in there, or if there's something in there that's moving their health in the wrong direction, then doing something as simple as compounding that medication and removing the fillers, removing the stuff that doesn't belong in there. I mean, just that can help millions of people. Even if it doesn't help them, at least we're not toxifying them through this process, right? We're
that's
not,
right.
like, you would never give someone a dye, or you would never give someone a talc. I mean, just look at the word dye, right? Like, it's when you think about the vibration of that word, it actually kind of sounds silly when you say it, right? But like talc and all these food colorings and all these things, you would never add that to your food. Like, you would never sprinkle that on your salad, right? But we're putting it in our medication. And these things are used as excipients, and they're used to bind the medication together or to obviously add color to it, but they
Sure.
don't have any therapeutic value, and they're not inert, right? That's the other thing, is they're actually creating a potential immune response, or they're creating a toxification of the body. And not everyone genetically metabolizes toxins or processes things the same way. So you could have one person on that medication and it may not necessarily have as much of a significant effect on them, but it's still affecting them. It's still putting strain and stress on their systems. And yeah, it's just amazing how one thing, right? Tuning in, getting that antenna finely tuned, paying close attention to your health, bringing on the right team members, controlling your central nervous system, getting that message, acting on that message, and then now spreading that message. I mean, I can see some massive ripple effect and butterfly effect from from this one thing. So I'm just over the moon about how amazing 2020 and beyond looks for you and the people in your sphere of influence, because I know that you've got a very powerful influence, and when you speak, people listen. So it's great to be armed with this information to be able to help people and move them in the right direction.
Thank you. So well said. So well said. When I had my second birthday on November 21st, 2019, I laid awake at night for weeks. I couldn't sleep because I thought, gosh, this just happened to me. And then it turned really quickly to, gosh, this is happening to millions of people. And it keeps me up at night. So I have to
Mm.
talk about it. I have to share not only what inactive ingredients did to me, but how I found that the tuning in so that I could hear that message and act on it. Exactly what you said. And that is what I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about, you know, the sentence you said, whoever controls your central nervous system creates your reality. Everyone, that is the foundation of what we put everything under a lens with. That is it. That is the sentence that should be on your bathroom mirror, in your phone, in your calendar, that pops up every day. And that's how we make good decisions for ourselves. So thank you so much for that session. It really is such a game changer in my life.
Well, thank you, Elaine. Thank you for, having the courage to share because, it does take courage. And I'm sure when, you speak or you connect with certain people, some people are more receptive to the message than others might be. I'm sure everyone around you is super, super happy for you. And it does take a certain amount of passion, of course. It takes courage. It takes a fortitude, and it takes having a greater vision for not just the people immediately around you, but for the people that you haven't even met yet that you're going to have a positive impact on. I hope that anyone who's listening to this, I'm certain if they're listening up to this point, they feel inspired and they feel compelled to move their health in the right direction. But I hope that we can reach together we can reach more and more people with this message because people do need to do a careful evaluation of what their life looks like, and what are they doing to unlock their best version of their life. And I can certainly see this carrying over into your coaching services and how you guide and mentor and help other people. So it's going to have a positive impact on those people. But let's get this out there to as many people as possible because literally millions of people are struggling and suffering, and this could be the message that they hear that gets them to calm their mind, get tuned in, hear the message, and then action the message. So,
Absolutely.
so in closing, what would I know you kind of said it already, but if there's anything else that you want to say, I would love to hear, some words of wisdom, so words of inspiration that you could offer those that are listening. And what would you say somebody's next step would be if they want to learn more about your work or they want to, help you, with the work that you're doing?
The next step for anyone who's listening is if you or a loved one are on any medication from a pharmacy, please go to that website and see what the inactive ingredients are. It might take you 10 minutes. I've had people take up to an hour to try to dig and find these ingredients. It's not easy sometimes. So that would be the call to action. Please help a loved one, an elderly parent, someone who you see has been struggling. This could be the reason why. So that would be the number one thing. The second thing is to what can you do to gain control of your life? There are so many things out of our control, but there are so many things that are in our control. And that's what I'm passionate about helping people learn about, is when we do find control over the things that we have control over, then the things we don't have control over, when they do come in and kind of rattle us, we can handle them. We can handle them. And that's what I'm passionate about. And again, I'm not on social media. I don't have a website. I don't have any of these things because I do it for my health. But if people want to reach out and email me, then certainly I will help people that way. And that's really what it is for me and my business, is word of mouth.
Okay. Thank you, Elaine. I love you. I
I love
appreciate
you.
you. Thank you. And I wish you nothing but continued growth and success. I mean, we're going to keep our friendship going here, and keeping each other updated on what's new and what's amazing in our lives. Thank you for being so open and vulnerable and sharing and inspiring so many people, not just now, but in perpetuity. This work is going to create a big ripple effect in the world, and I'm so happy and proud to be part of this journey with you.
Thank you so much, Sachin. I'm really, really honored to be here with you today.
Thank you. And thank you for everyone who tuned in today. Thanks for listening. Please share this episode with a loved one, because I'm certain that each and every one of you knows somebody who can benefit from this message. And, let's honor Elaine's call to action, which is, hey, if you're on a medication or know somebody who is or needs your help in digging and finding some answers, then please help them. Because, my wife's a pharmacist, as some of you know, and Deepa would be that's one of the first things that we do with some of our clients is we look at their medications to make sure what they think is helping them isn't actually hurting them or harming them. And oftentimes there are safer, cleaner alternatives that you can use. So once again, thank you, Elaine, and thank you everyone for tuning in.
Thank you.